Okay. What did he say?
Keep your seats for just a moment and we'll get started here in just a second. Thank you all for being with us today. It's a good crowd out there, and I hope you enjoyed your food today. You'll hear more about that in just a second. Before you stand, let me just say this to you. It's a great day to be a Kiwanian. Kids need Kiwanis, and Kiwanis needs you. And that's very important. And some of the things you'll hear today will tell us why will tell you why you are needed and what Kiwanis is doing for kids across the country. Let's start by standing and doing our defining statement. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. How about our song, Clay? Have you got one for us today?
I certainly do. You will need your book.
Excuse me, I'm not used to that. You'll need your book?
Yes. Okay. Page number 48, 105, Singing in the Rain. How about that?
Oh, Lord, okay.
All right. Singing in the rain, I'm singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I'm happy again. I'm laughing and loud. Star above, sun to my heart, begging for love.
I tell you, a round of applause for that. We might need to do a little practice on that if we do it every week. But very good. Thanks so much.
We'll sing that for the next 3 weeks.
Sounds good. Okay. Let me call on for our invocation now, Kiwanian El Pool.
Okay, everyone, hello. Good afternoon. All right. This is a prayer I actually wrote. Lord, let us be more intentional to look at how we can love. Let us reject hate in all its forms. Let us work to expose the heaven within us. Let us strive to, as you admonished in Micah 6:8, He has shown thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of you, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. Finally, during the celebration of Black History Month, let us remember those who fought and still fight to make this state and country an inviting and fair and just place to raise a family. Thank you for the food that you put before us. Please bless it. May it be used for the nourishment of our bodies and help us to bless those who are less fortunate and don't have what we have. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Be seated. Thank you, El, for doing that for us. That was really, really nice. For the last 2 weeks, or excuse me, the last 4 weeks, we've had different caterers, and we have a different caterer today. We had, for 2 weeks, we had Catering Works, and then just these past 2 weeks, we've had Joni Collier, who is a personal chef. And we've had good comments on all of them. And I know we're going to have good comments today. Today we have Greg Stowe and his wife, Teresa, with us. They're from Chelsea Cafe. The Chelsea Cafe is located, there's one in Wake County, one in Johnston County, and one in, is it Durham County? In Durham County. Fantastic. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for what you have prepared for us. There are little cards on your table, 3 of 5 cards. Please put your comments about the meal today. We're going to, once we go through, we'll probably have everybody back for one more round of meals and let you vote for sure, but this has been a good process. It scared me to death when that caterer quit and we didn't have anybody. I thought I was going to be back in the kitchen with 2 or 3 of you flipping something, but it's been good what we've had, and thank you so much for bringing it to us. I forgot to bring the guest sheet today. If anybody has a guest, there we go. You want to announce them, Courtney?
Cricket.
Most of you guys know this young man with me today, my better half, John Glen.
Martin Green has a guest.
I'm delighted to have my wife Karen and her good friend Jenny McKay. They're looking forward to being here and sharing all this with you and hearing the speaker.
Well, we're glad to have both of you with us today. Thank you so much.
And we may have another guest coming in shortly, but that's all for right now.
Okay, Scott, before you start, let me, I was going to introduce you and say something. Oh, you're going to introduce a guest? I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
I'll do both for you.
Okay.
I have today as my guest one of the members of our Action Club and my fine son, Lannon Pius. Lannon loves coming here for that interaction. Lannon's mother and my wife of 56 years took her last breath Monday morning. We expect a funeral on the 5th of March. You're all invited, and hope to have a celebration of her life following thereafter. Lannon will be quick to tell you that his mama has gotten her angel wings recently and is now his second guardian angel. Thank you.
Scott, thank you so much. And the prayers of this club are with you and with your son. And just know that we're thinking about you. If there's anything we can do, let us know.
And thank to each of you who have stopped and expressed your expressions. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Let me make is Andy Wood here to say anything about the golf tournament? Andy? Oh, he just, well, it's on May the 2nd at the Noose Golf Club. We'll be contacting you. It's a little bit of time before it takes place, and we will be asking you. March is coming up, and the month of March is Diaper Drive Month. Is Dr. Andrew Perry with us today? Andrew, you want to, I'm sorry, I looked right at you. Would you like to say anything about the Diaper Drive?
I don't have a whole lot to say, except that I'm excited to be a part of the committee, heading it up and raising both funds and diapers. As you said, March is our month. I would direct any questions toward Elle, our esteemed leader, Elle Poole, who I know has really done a great job with it in the past. But please take a look at our website. There's a link on our website, like you said. So
that's right.
Thank you.
You'll look on the website. There's information on the diaper drive. It's not just our club. It's all of Kiwanis. So please take a look at that and help us out with the diaper drive. At this time, I'd like to call on John Collar, who's our treasurer. It is time to announce that in 2 weeks, on March the 8th, we will have a vote on a dues change. And let me tell you, the board has worked hard on this. They've cut every corner they can, and I think what they're going to offer to you is going to be really very good.
Well, if it was really good, he'd be announcing it, wouldn't he?
John, there's a reason you're the treasurer, okay?
Call the treasurer. Everybody hates the treasurer. We debated a lot about this, what to do. We all knew the dues had to increase, just how are we going to do it, particularly the meal cost. One thing was for certain from all of you with the survey that went out, we all like to eat, we like good food, and we're getting it now, aren't we? So the question was, can we have a process where we pay as you go? In other words, you collect as you come and you decide to eat, we collect on the spot. We're not there yet. We simply don't have that system in place. That is something that's on the table. We'll look at it in the future. I think the model that we had works. We just need to raise the dues. one thing that we struggle with every year, and I mentioned this before, is the beginning of every fiscal year for Kiwanis. In October, we get an invoice from Kiwanis International for the Carolinas district dues and international dues. Our cost to the club is 25 grand. Okay, and they don't let you spread it out over the 12 months. They want it up front. And so we have got to fix that. We have got to start collecting that up front from the membership. And so that's really the biggest change that we're making. And so what I want to just briefly summarize is the motion that will be, it's on the table. This will be for vote in 2 weeks. We're not taking a vote today. This is just for you guys to digest. Raising the annual dues for active members to $682. That is going to be broken down by what I would coin regular quarterly dues installments of $135. We're paying $125 now, $135. And then in the third quarter every year, we're going to invoice for the Carolinas District and Kiwanis International dues of $142. So that's the first proposal, raising the annual dues for active members to $682. I'm going to show a breakdown on the screen on this. Our annual dues right now are $500, so we're raising it to $682. For the senior members, currently the seniors are paying $35 a quarter. They're also paying out of pocket for their meal cost of $15 a meal. We are actually going to, well, we're not reducing the dues, we're going up from $140 annually to $242 annually. That's broken down in $25 quarterly installments, plus the third quarter billing for the Kiwanis International and Carolinas District dues of $142. We've also got to adjust that meal cost because that, $15 is not covering our cost now. It's $18. So we're proposing to go up to $18 a meal for the seniors. Now, if we stop there, I'm going to be back up here in a year, and we're going to be doing this all over again. We got to have a mechanism in place to have some flexibility to adjust the dues when it's necessary. When is it necessary? Well, anytime Kiwanis International or the district raises their dues, we've got to pass that on. We shouldn't have to come and do all this again if there's been an increase in those dues. We just need to pass that on. So we have a provision in the proposal to the bylaws that we have an automatic dues adjustments that would be equivalent to any Carolinas district or Kiwanis International dues increase. The other thing that we want to propose is a modest adjustment to the overall budget to cover other administrative costs. We feel like when the costs or the prices are rising, the board ought to have some flexibility to increase dues as necessary. We're talking 3% of the total dues. If they're up to 3% at the discretion of the board, we can raise the dues. That's kind of what the proposal is. If it's more than 3%, we've got to do what we're doing now. I think that is the proposal. What you see on the screen now is kind of a breakdown of where we're at now on a quarterly dues installment and what is being proposed. I'm going to ask Courtney if we can disseminate. Can we email these documents? There you are. Can we email these documents? So we'll email the motion and the breakdown so you guys have that, and just contemplate it over the next 2 weeks. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me. I'm happy to address any concerns. But that's where we're at. Any questions? Ask that guy.
John, we appreciate that. And the next couple of weeks will be the time for questions before we take a vote on the 8th of March. Let me say the committee that we had working on dues, they worked tirelessly. Our board worked tirelessly. The reason we're taking several weeks to get this to you is we wanted to go through every nook and cranny of it to make sure we'd covered everything we need to. We just don't want to come back to you real fast with a request. And we wanted to be as modest as we could in this increase, and I hope we have, and I hope you will like it. Our program today, and our program changed earlier this week when the head of 4-H had a unexpected emergency with his family. Couldn't be here today, but thank gosh for NC State and the people that I work with out there, because there are other departments that they could call on, and that's exactly what they did. And they called on the North Carolina Master Gardener Program. So if any of you do any gardening at home, and gardening involves pruning your trees, pruning your shrubs, planting your shrubs, taking care of your grass, anything dealing with flowers or anything, horticulture, you're involved today, and we've got the expert here. This person connects people with benefits of gardening and empowers North Carolinians to cultivate healthy plants, landscapes, ecosystems in their communities. As the North Carolina State Extension Master Gardener Program Manager, Charlotte Glen provides leadership for this program across the state. Her responsibilities include supporting extension professionals, serving in the local extension programs, developing and overseeing program policies, planning and implementing statewide continuing education opportunities, and communicating the program's impact. She has studied horticulture in North Carolina, Scotland, and New Zealand, and she holds a doctorate degree in agriculture and extension education from North Carolina State. Her lifelong interest in this subject was inspired by her grandmother, an avid naturalist and gardener, and her grandfather, a farmer and a vegetable gardener who was always eager to share his harvest. So please welcome Charlotte Glen.
All right, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to join you this afternoon and to tell you about the NC State Extension Master Gardener Program. Do we have any folks in here who are currently or have been Master Gardener volunteers? How about anybody who has contacted or talked to a Master Gardener volunteer? All right, good. So you've been making use of the resource? Yeah. Rufus Evans, I'd have to check our database, find out. I can track him down if he is or isn't. All right, well, we're going to learn a little more about the program today, and I'm going to tell you about Extension Master Gardeners across North Carolina, but also share with you some of the things they're doing specifically here in Wake County and how you can connect with them and the resources available through Extension. So the Master Gardener Program is part of NC State Extension, part of NC State University, and I was really pleased as I met several of you coming in that people relayed that they had been in 4-H or they had a parent or knew somebody growing up who worked for Extension. Actually, when I speak to groups that aren't Master Gardener volunteers, frequently nobody's very familiar with Extension, so it was great to hear from many of you that you have had some experience there. But Cooperative Extension is an organization all across North Carolina and the United States. And our mission is to put research-based knowledge to work for North Carolinians to help them to transform science into everyday solutions that improves their lives and grow our state. And you may be familiar with some of our program areas, especially 4-H, which is our youth development program, which Mike Yoder, who was going to be your speaker today, was going to talk about. And 4-H is one of the oldest youth development programs in the United States and largest. We also have programs in agriculture and food, and that's where Master Gardener Program fits in supporting the horticulture, the home gardening side of things. And we have our extension educators who also work with farmers and growers across the state who are producing the food that we eat every day. And then we have agents who work with health and nutrition, our family consumer science agents who have programs in all kinds of areas that help us live healthier lives. NC State Extension is part of the partnership that is known as North Carolina Cooperative Extension. That partnership is between NC State and North Carolina A&T University, as well as county governments across North Carolina. And that helps us be able to have an extension center in every county in North Carolina. So no matter where you live, you have a connection in your county to Extension and NC State and the resources and education that is available. So when we talk specifically about the Extension Master Gardener Program, our purpose is to recruit, train, and engage community members to serve as volunteer educators. So anybody can be a Master Gardener volunteer. You do not have to be an expert gardener or have a lot of gardening experience. Many people come to us because they're very interested in learning about gardening, and that's how they get started. And as the more they learn, the more they want to share what they know. And they share what they know through their volunteer service that helps support and strengthen Extension's delivery of sustainable gardening education to North Carolinians. So our focus with the Master Gardener Program is working with home gardeners, community gardeners. We don't work with the commercial landscapers or the farmers or growers, but we do have other people in Extension who work with those audiences. Our mission within the Extension Master Gardener Program is to connect North Carolinians with the benefits of plants and gardening, and there's been all kinds of research to tell us there are so many benefits of being around plants, working with plants, growing and eating plants. So these can be things like better nutrition and increased food security, greater community resilience because you have gardening resources in your community. Lots of research on the benefits of plants to our health and well-being, both physical health, mental health. Just being around plants can make us feel better, and having those experiences with plants can be very nurturing. There's all kinds of wonderful things we can do to help pollinators and nature by planting the right types of plants that provide habitat for them in our gardens and landscapes. So a lot of times when we think about what we're selecting, we might just be thinking about, is it pretty? Do we like the way it looks? But it's really important to think beyond that and think, is this going to provide resources for the birds and the bees? Is this going to help everything else that's part of the ecosystem that our yard is part of? So a lot of our programs help people understand that and help them select those plants. All of this can lead to having cleaner air and water. There are even practices you can put in place in your landscape that allow water to infiltrate into the ground. These are called rain gardens. That helps remove pollutants from the water and lets it soak back into the groundwater table. So we have a lot of programs that teach people how to put rain gardens in their landscapes. And through doing that, and through providing habitat for our pollinators and wildlife, we make our communities healthier and our cities more livable. So we want everybody to experience those benefits of plants and gardening. We do this through our education and outreach programs with our ultimate goal to empower North Carolinians to grow healthy plants, healthy landscapes, healthy ecosystems, and healthy communities. And all across North Carolina, we have Extension Master Gardener volunteers working under the leadership of our Extension educators who are based in our Cooperative Extension centers. We've got the map of North Carolina showing the counties that have an active Extension Master Gardener program. So 75 of our 100 counties. North Carolina Cooperative Extension actually has 101 county centers because we have one in every county, as well as among the eastern band of Cherokee. So you see most of our counties, the counties that don't have an active program tend to be our more rural counties. And we have nearly 4,000 we actually do have 4,000 Master Gardener volunteers. The 3,900 number is looking back at 2023. So we've already surpassed that. In Wake County specifically, Wake County has one of the larger Extension Master Gardener programs in North Carolina. There are over 150 Master Gardener volunteers. They work under the leadership of the Extension horticulture agent here in Wake County. Her name is Deanna Biggio. And they do their work in communities across the county, as well as at the Wake County Extension Center, which if you've never visited, they're on the other side of town, the east side of not Kinston, that's where I grew up, of Raleigh. And it's over on Carrier Drive, and they're within the building that says Agricultural Services. And there's some other government buildings there on that complex. So that is definitely a resource and a location you'll want to visit if you never have. And Extension Master Gardener is not limited to North Carolina. It's not, NC State didn't originate it. In fact, nationwide, there are over 90,000 Extension Master Gardener volunteers in every state. In fact, it's not just limited to the United States. The program extends across Canada, South Korea, and the United Kingdom. And it did start in the United States, actually out on the West Coast, and spread across the United States, and it's always been part of the extension system, which is based in the land-grant university system in each state. Just really brief, quick history. As I mentioned, the Extension Master Gardener program did start out on the West Coast by Washington State University extension agents, Bill Shear and Dr. David Gibby. They were based in Pierce and King counties, and those are the counties by Seattle. As you can imagine, there was just tremendous demand for gardening information, and as the only horticulture agents in those counties, they just could never get away from the phone. It was just phone call after phone call after phone call with people asking gardening questions. And they came up with the idea that what if we could bring in some local gardeners, train them a little bit, make sure they have the research-based information, know the science behind it, and they could help answer some of these questions. And that's how the program got started. And that was back in 1973. So last year, the Extension Master Gardener program turned 50, and we're still growing. It was a great idea. It was very successful, and in Extension, we love to share ideas with each other, so it spread very quickly. And by 1979, North Carolina had established the Extension Master Gardener program, and wouldn't you know it, it started here in Wake County. So Wake County was the first county to have Extension Master Gardener program, quickly followed by New Hanover County. And as I mentioned today, it spread across most of the state, the United States, and even internationally. And just looking at last year, just the statistics of the program, we had 3,970 volunteers active across North Carolina last year. As I mentioned, with new classes getting started this year, we've already exceeded that and are above 4,000. And just based on the volunteer service hours they reported, over 225,000. We know our volunteers tend to underreport the volunteer work they do, so this, I would say, would be a conservative estimate of the volunteer service they bring to extensions programs each year. If we use the value of volunteer service, which you may not have known, there's an organization called the Public Sector that sets that value, and it's $29.95 an hour. So when you're doing volunteer work for Kiwanis, it's worth $29.95 an hour. And so calculating out the volunteer hours they brought to extension is over 6.7 million. And if you turn that into full-time equivalents, if these had been employees, that would be like having an additional 108 employees working for extension across the state. And they reached at least 280,000 residents, which again, we know that's much lower than the actual number, but that's what they've reported as part of their volunteer service. We have a system where they submit hours and contacts. So I just wanted to tell you about some of the work they do, both across the state and specifically here in Wake County. And one of the big areas is just answering gardening questions. So what got the Master Gardener program started initially is still a huge part of the program, and just huge demand from gardeners all across North Carolina, all across the United States. People have questions. And we've certainly seen in the past few years with the pandemic, a lot of people getting more interested in gardening, especially vegetable gardening. So a lot of questions coming in. So across North Carolina, you can see almost 28,000 hours were dedicated to connecting residents with extensions resources and providing that research-based information and solutions for their home gardening problems. So in different counties, this can look different ways. It can be Master Gardener volunteers out at different community events, such as farmers markets with a tent, answering questions. In some counties, such as Wake County, they have a dedicated office in the Extension Center where they're there scheduled regular times throughout the week. You can go visit or call, and they can also respond to email. So in Wake County, you have a lot of options. They have a dedicated email account, so you can reach out to the Master Gardener volunteers with your questions. You can go visit them at the Extension Center. You can either drop in during their office hours, 9 to 12, and again from 1 to 4, Monday through Friday. So that is very extensive office hours for Master Gardener volunteers, one of our most well-staffed plant clinics run by Master Gardener volunteers in the state. You can call them. One thing a lot of people are interested in is picking up soil testing kits. So that's available there at the Wake County Extension Center. Even after hours, they have them outside of the building where you can pick it up. And if you need to soil sample for your lawn or for your vegetable garden to see if you need to add lime or other nutrients, it's got the boxes and forms you need to collect those samples. Then you can drop them off. They get sent over to the soil testing lab, which is run by the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. And then you get your results and you know what to do. Also, the Master Gardener volunteers here in Wake County are very active at community events, and you'll find them with booths and tents at farmers markets, both the state farmers market here in Raleigh and the farmers markets in Wake Forest and Roseville, and at different events such as the Southern Ideal Home Show. Our volunteers help plan and implement different educational programs, so classes, workshops, tours that help people learn about gardening. And here in Wake County, they have a very successful Ready Garden Grow workshop. It's a 2.5-hour class for people who are interested in getting started with vegetable gardening. They hold it typically every spring and in conjunction with the libraries. So these are scheduled at the libraries across Wake County for Saturdays at 2 o'clock. And they'll be doing them all throughout the month of March. So if you want to learn about vegetable gardening, look up the schedule. You can look on the Wake County Extension website, or in fact, I'd be more than happy to share a link to these slides. As you see, some of these things are links, and you could go back and click on them and go right to the information. But be sure to check out the workshops they have planned coming up. They've actually been going on in February as well, but also throughout March, and learn how to get your vegetable garden started. Another thing the Wake County group has a very successful speakers bureau. They have many topics that they have Master Gardener volunteers who are prepared to come and speak to groups, schools, organizations all across the county. They have a request form. You go in, you fill it out, let them know what you're looking for. They have all the topics listed that you can select from. So they have Master Gardener volunteers out in the community all the time, speaking to different groups about gardening topics. In addition to the classes and events, we have educational outreach. This would be focused on increasing the awareness of Extension and Extension's resources, promoting learning and connection through things like social media. And our Master Gardener volunteers here in Wake County do have a Facebook page. If you're into Facebook, I encourage you to check out their page, as well as providing educational materials, which include videos. And again, here in Wake County, the Master Gardener volunteers have created a series of videos on popular topics, and those are posted on the Wake County Extension website, and you can go and watch them. So there's one here just on soil testing. And they also have linked a lot of print materials that you can learn about various topics. One of the more popular or more visible, especially, areas that Master Gardener volunteers are involved are demonstration gardens. So these are gardens that are specifically created around an educational need, such as water conservation or pollinator protection or home vegetable gardening. These are gardens created to teach people, display the best practices, and to show the plants that are most well adapted to your area. There's also usually signage and some type of educational brochures or other information to help promote learning, and our Master Gardener volunteers will also use the gardens to lead tours or workshops and promote hands-on learning. So here in Wake County, Master Gardener volunteers maintain a couple of different demonstration gardens. One is out at Crowder Park. It's a prairie garden and native plant garden. And they have a couple of water-wise gardens, which are focused on water conservation practices. So one of those is at the State Fairgrounds, and the other is out at Lake Crabtree. So I'd encourage you to visit those and look for the water-wise signs. In Extension, Extension's been very involved with community gardens across North Carolina. And community gardens are a wonderful place to bring people together to learn about growing vegetables. So you're helping people learn and grow and meet other people, grow in community, as well as creating access to the fresh produce and building community resilience. So right now in Wake County, our Master Gardener volunteers, work with these groups. They don't have a dedicated community garden that they are maintaining, but there are some close by. I encourage you to check out, there's the Clayton Community Garden down in Johnston County, as well as the Briggs Avenue Community Garden over in Durham County. And those are both community gardens where Extension is heavily involved, and Master Gardener volunteers are supporting education through those gardens. And then therapeutic horticulture. This is a newer area that our Master Gardener volunteers are getting involved with, but the Master Gardener volunteers here in Wake County have really pioneered that and are one of the most active groups in working with therapeutic horticulture, which is, instead of focusing on the plants, you're focusing on the people. So a lot of times it's very similar things, but you just focus on people's interactions with plants, how to maximize the benefits they get, how to make that an experience that improves their health, that promotes well-being. So in Wake County, they have a dedicated therapeutic horticulture team that works in partnership with organizations around the county, including Healing Transitions, to both grow produce, to make that available to the residents, as well as provide therapeutic experiences for them. And last of all is youth outreach. So 4-H, again, is a key part of Extension. It's our youth development program, and our Master Gardener volunteers are involved with 4-H in many different ways in supporting those youth programs to grow our next generation of gardeners and help our young people know more about where our food comes from. So Master Gardener volunteers help support things such as summer camps, 4-H clubs. There's actually a junior Master Gardener program, and then they're involved with different school gardens and programs. And the 4-H program here in Wake County is very extensive and has a lot of very different things going on compared to maybe some of our more rural counties. So just wrapping up, I very much encourage you to connect with the Extension resources and Master Gardener volunteers available to you. Here in Wake County, you have a lot of different ways to reach out to Master Gardener volunteers, whether it's email or calling them, visiting them at the Extension Center, or a local event, or connecting online. I certainly encourage you to think about joining us and becoming a Master Gardener volunteer. It's a great way to increase your knowledge about gardening. It's a great way to meet other people who are enthusiastic gardeners and plant lovers, and give back to your community, as well as promote sustainable gardening and have a lot of fun. So a lot of opportunities there. If you are interested in becoming a Master Gardener volunteer, the first step is to contact your local Extension Center, and you would apply through your local Extension Center, and they can let you know when the next training class is coming up. The initial training for the Extension Master Gardener program covers at least 40 hours of horticultural content, and then you have an internship, which is at least 40 hours, and that usually covers your first year, and from then on you continue your volunteer service and learning. And in fact, here in Wake County, they are currently taking applications. So if you're interested, this is the time for action. The applications are due by April 15th, and this will be for their training class that starts this fall. And we have opportunities to support our work by giving to our endowment. And if you're interested, I'd love to get you connected with that. But I will just end up and take questions. I'm welcome to take questions today, or if you want to reach out to me, if you have questions about the Extension Master Gardener program, or if you have specific gardening questions, I encourage you to connect with the Extension Master Gardener volunteers in Wake County.
What's the physical address of the local Extension office? You made mention that they had the little soil kits and a place to go, and it might have been on an earlier slide, but I haven't seen it. It's 4001 Carrier
Drive. Carya is Carya. Does anybody know the significance of Carya? What that is? It is the scientific name, it's the genus of hickory. So I don't know how that got chosen for the name of, but that is what Carya is. Yeah, 4001, I think it's the Agriculture Services Building. Okay, great. Yep. Any other questions? All right, they're bringing the microphone around.
Okay, if I claim to be a master gardener, New York, certified in New York State.
Yes.
I now move to North Carolina. Am I going to be in your database? Is your database local or is it national?
My database is just for North Carolina, but we do have a lot of people who move to North Carolina who are Master Gardener volunteers in other states, and you can transfer into our program. Then you would join our database.
Okay.
You would just, again, you would start by contacting the local extension center in the county where you live, and they would talk to you about transferring to the program here in North Carolina. Yeah, we'd love to have you.
You talk about the horticulture? I work in horticulture in Louisiana.
In Louisiana?
Yes, I have.
Wow.
I grow vegetables and flowers and everything too.
Very good.
I don't like to help you.
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
I have Granville wilt in my garden. Is there any way of getting rid of it?
Not really, yeah, not without a lot of effort. It's a soil-borne disease, and unless you're willing to replace the soil, even that's a temporary measure because you're unlikely to really get rid of it. And there's especially that's really a problem for things like tomatoes and peppers and eggplant. You could consider building raised beds, but again, if you're building it on that site, it does move up through the soil. But again, that is something you could reach out to Master Gardener volunteers and ask about what's the latest research. And
so probably the best bet is to get barrels and try to grow tomatoes.
Yes, barrels, even hay bales. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the hay bale gardening, which has been a trend for a little while. And
I think I brought it in from compost from the city waste, vegetable waste.
You could have, because those type of soil-borne diseases definitely get moved around with soil. Yeah, you could move. Those are the toughest things to deal with, the soil-borne diseases.
So one more along the same line. I've already been through the tomato thing, and you can put them in containers and it still doesn't work. But azaleas, I've been told that I've got some sort of soil, I don't know whether it's Granville wilt or what, on the azaleas, but once it gets in the soil, I'm being told it's spreading around the county, and that azaleas are going to be a thing of the past because of the disease, and maybe because we've all planted too many azaleas, but
right.
and that makes it easier for stuff to transmit. You know of anything that can save azaleas once you've got something in the soil?
Yeah, if it is a disease, a soil-borne disease, there's no way to eradicate those other than, planting something different that's not susceptible to that disease. That's really your only sure bet. So it's
all of you. We appreciate. Oh, got one more there.
I have one more infection question. Our neighborhood has learned that we have bark scale on our crepe myrtles, and we are told that there is no effective way to eliminate it. It can be sprayed and controlled, but not eliminated. Is that true?
I would say that was true. Scale insects are pretty persistent, and you can certainly control them, but it does require a long-term commitment. There are situations where large areas have been treated and they've been able to eradicate a new scale pest, but it took a lot of coordinated effort. If just a few are missed, they start to reproduce from that. So I would look at it as more of a long-term management strategy than something you're ever going to eliminate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right. Well, again, my pleasure to join you. Thank you.
Let me tell you, the first time I ever heard of the Master Gardener program was a few years ago in my home county of Cleveland, which is Shelby. And I had a friend from high school that told me that she needed to get off the phone because she had to go to Master Gardener at 12 o'clock. I'm going like, you've got to remember that in Shelby, the most well-known citizen was former Governor Max Gardner. And he was from a very high-end family. And I'm thinking, this girl in high school didn't run in the Max Gardner group. And I don't know what she's done since then. But so a couple of times later, I talked to her on the phone and I said, tell me about going over to Max Gardner's. What was going on over there? And she says, I don't even know anybody in Max Gardner's family. I bet I said Master Gardener. That's how I got to know it. And it's a good program. And in Cleveland County, it's very heavy duty. Our guests today, we welcome them back anytime. Glen with cricket, Karen Green, Cindy McKay, London, and Andrew, you never got to introduce your guest earlier. Please do.
I didn't. That's great. Stand up, Doug. This is our time. Sorry. Okay, it's the end of the meeting. We'll be quick. Thank y'all. This is my friend and neighbor, Doug Shivler. He works in medical equipment sales. He is husband to Catherine, father to Caroline, Elizabeth, and Daniel. He's a generally great guy. I found out on the way in he has a grandfather who is Kiwanian in New York State. So let's welcome Doug. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us, and all of you guests, please come back. Next week we have Philip Isley, who's the chairman of the Centennial Authority. So that should be interesting, and be sure to be here for that particular program. Again, our condolences to Scott and your family and your son here. We're thinking about you. If we can be of help, let us know. If there's nothing else, we will call that it for today. Thank you.